We're both your sons. The little boy's voice was clear, not shaky, not scared, clear. The crystal room of the Seoul Imperial Grand Hall went silent. 100 glasses stopped halfway to waiting lips. Politicians turned. Business tycoons stared. Camera phones lifted. At the center of it all, billionaire Chung
Good evening,
Yui-sun
esteemed
stood on the
partners,
stage in a
honored
black
guests, and
tuxedo,
colleagues.
one hand
Welcome
still
to the
resting
Hanwha
on the
Group
microphone.
Global Partners Gala.
For the first time in years, the most feared man in the room looked like he had forgotten how to breathe, because the two boys standing below him were identical. And worse, they had his face. One of them, Hae-min, lifted his chin and said it again. "We're both your sons." At the edge of the crowd, a woman in a simple dark dress closed her eyes for one painful second. Juri, the mother, the secret, the past that was supposed to stay buried. But tonight, under gold lights and watchful eyes, the truth had walked into the room on its own 2 feet. And it was about to destroy everything. Welcome back to the mafia's obsession. Tonight's story begins in a room built for power, pride, and perfect lies. A billionaire was about to secure his empire. Instead, 2 little boys walked in and shattered his future with one sentence. Stay with me, because this story is not just about hidden sons. It is about betrayal. It is about a mother who stayed silent for years. And it is about the one secret inside a billionaire's world that was never meant to survive. Let's begin. The Seoul Imperial Grand Hall glittered like a palace. Golden chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen stars. Waiters moved through the crowd with silver trays. Violins played softly from the corner. Every smile in the room looked polished. Every handshake meant money. Every camera flash captured power. Tonight was important. Chung Yui-sun was about to announce a new alliance with the Han Group, a move that would make his company untouchable. News reporters had gathered near the front. Investors stood in small circles, whispering with excitement. Even government officials had come in person. At the center of it all stood Yui-sun himself, tall, calm, sharp. His black tuxedo fit him like armor. His face gave nothing away, as always. People called him many things in private. Cold, ruthless, impossible to fool. But in public, they called him brilliant. He stepped onto the stage as the music faded. The room turned toward him at once. He was used to that. Used to control. Used to silence. Used to winning. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said into the microphone, his voice smooth and deep. "Thank you for joining us tonight."
Global Partners Gala.
Applause filled the hall. Near the back, hidden behind taller guests, 2 small boys stood hand in hand. Their suits were clean but simple. Their shoes were not polished like the rest of the room. Their eyes moved across the hall with quiet focus, not wonder. They were not impressed by the gold or the rich people. They were looking for one man. Behind them stood Juri. Her fingers were cold. Her heart beat so hard it felt painful. She had almost turned back 3 times before entering, almost grabbed the boys and run, but not tonight. Tonight, truth had come too far to return home. She looked toward the stage, toward Chung Yui-sun, and for one brief moment, she saw not a billionaire, but the man who had once held her like she mattered. Hae-min and Hae-jun were 7 years old. To strangers, they were simply beautiful twin boys with bright eyes and serious faces. But to anyone who looked closely, they were more than that. They were mirrors. Not only to each other, but to the man on the stage. Same straight brows, same sharp nose, same calm eyes that seemed too old for children. Juri had seen that face every morning for 7 years. It was both her greatest comfort and her deepest fear. She had raised them in a small apartment above a quiet bakery on the far side of Seoul. She worked early mornings and late nights, doing whatever she could. Cleaning, selling handmade food, helping at street stalls. Some days were good, Some were cruel, but she kept the boys fed, dressed, and safe. Safe. That word had shaped her whole life. Because years ago, when she had still been young enough to believe in promises, she had loved Chung Yui-sun. Not the billionaire the city feared, not the man behind headlines and security walls, just Yui-sun. The man who had once laughed in the rain with her, the man who had said he would come back. Then everything had gone wrong. A lie had reached him before the truth could. Another lie had reached her before she could fight back. And by the time the twins were born, Juri understood one terrible thing. Someone powerful wanted her children erased. Not hidden, erased. So she vanished. She changed hospitals, changed names, changed neighborhoods. She trusted no one. She taught the boys never to tell strangers too much, never to wander, never to ask why she jumped whenever black cars slowed near the curb. But children notice things, especially smart ones. Lately, Heymin had begun asking questions. Why do we not have a father? Why do men in suits sometimes stare at us? Why do I look different from you, Mom? Juri had answered with love, not truth. But tonight, the truth had made its own decision, and the boys had agreed. They wanted to see him with their own eyes. They wanted to know why a man who wore their face had never once come looking. Chung Yui-sun lifted a glass to begin the formal toast. This alliance, he said, marks not only growth, but trust, a future built on strength, discipline, and loyalty. The word loyalty almost made Juri laugh. Almost. Her mouth stayed still, but something dark moved behind her eyes. The boys glanced up at her. This was the moment. Juri bent down and fixed Haejun's collar with trembling fingers. Then she touched Haimin's cheek, letting herself feel the warmth of his skin for 1 second longer than needed. "Do not run," she whispered. "We won't," Haimin said. "Stay together," she added. "We always do," Haejun answered softly. Juri swallowed hard. For a second, she wanted to stop this. She wanted to take them home, lock the door, and pretend this night never happened. But she had not come all this way to protect a lie. So she nodded once. The twins let go of her hands. Then they started walking. At first, no one noticed. 2 little boys moving through a crowded ballroom was not enough to stop adults drunk on money and status. A waiter stepped aside for them. A woman in diamonds frowned but said nothing. One reporter glanced down, confused, then looked back at the stage. The boys kept moving, step by step, straight down the center of the room. Their small shoes clicked against the polished floor. One guest turned, then another. Soon whispers began. Whose children are those? Did they come from the family section? Why are they walking to the stage? On stage, Yui-sun kept speaking, but his eyes, trained to catch the smallest shift in any room, moved toward the center aisle.
Welcome to the
And then he
Hanu
saw
Group
them.
Global Partners Gala.
His words died. Just for a second. But in a man like him, 1 second was enough. He stared. The room noticed. His hand tightened around the glass. The boys did not stop. One of them looked straight at him with a calm, steady gaze that felt impossible in a child. And something old and buried inside Yui-sun's chest gave a violent jolt. Because he knew that face. Not from business, not from the mirror, from blood. By the time the twins reached the front of the stage, the hall had gone almost silent. The violin players had stopped without being told. Even the waiters stood still. The world seemed to hold its breath. Chung Yui-sun looked down at the boys as if the ground beneath him had changed shape. His face did not break easily. Men had lied to him, betrayed him, begged him, threatened him. He had faced scandal, danger, and boardroom wars without blinking. But this was different, because these were not rumors. They were standing right in front of him, alive, real,
You look
looking
exactly
exactly
like me.
like him. Jun took one more step forward. He was the quieter twin. But tonight, his voice carried across the entire room. "We're both your sons." A gasp swept through the hall. Someone dropped a glass. It shattered on the floor, the sound sharp as a gunshot. Reporters turned fully now. Phones rose higher. A woman near the stage pressed a hand to her mouth. One of the politicians muttered, "My God." Sun did not move. He could not. His mind had gone back 7 years in less than a heartbeat. A hospital corridor. A call in the middle of the night. A voice telling him the baby was gone. A child that never survived. That had been the story. That was what he had accepted. Accepted because he had been too late. Too angry. Too surrounded by enemies to see the trap around him. But there were 2 boys here. Not 1. 2. And one of them was still looking at him with terrible calm. "Mom said truth matters," Heyman said. "So we came." At the edge of the crowd, Jury finally stepped into the open. Her face was pale, but her back was straight. Eyes turned toward her as she walked forward. No jewels, no famous name, no bodyguards. Yet the room shifted for her like she carried her own kind of power. Sun saw her and went still in a new way. Not shock now, recognition. "Jury," he said. It came out rough, almost like a wound opening. Jury stopped a few steps from the stage. For years, she had imagined this moment in different ways. In some versions, Chung Sun looked guilty. In others, cruel. In her darkest nights, he did not recognize her at all. But the man staring down at her now looked neither cruel nor distant. He looked shaken. That should have satisfied her. It did not. Because 7 years of fear did not disappear under chandelier light. The twins moved closer to her side, one on each side, like they knew the storm was only beginning. The crowd watched with hungry silence. This was no longer a gala. It was a live wound. Sun stepped away from the microphone. "How?" he asked. Just one word. But Jury heard everything behind it. "How are they alive? How did you get in here? Why now? Why were they hidden from me?" She lifted her chin. "That is a better question for the people you trusted." A murmur moved through the room. Sun's jaw tightened. He looked at the twins again, and this time the truth landed harder. It was not only their faces, it was the way they stood, the way they watched, the way they did not shrink under pressure. His blood, his son's. The thought hit him like something both precious and brutal. From the right side of the stage, a woman in an elegant silver dress suddenly rose from her chair. Yoon Seo-ah, daughter of the Han Group chairman, the woman whose alliance with Sun was meant to shape the future of 2 powerful families. Her voice cut across the silence. "What is this?" Her face had gone stiff with disbelief, but her eyes held something colder than shock. Fear. Jury looked at her once and understood immediately. Not the full truth, but enough. Enough to know this woman was not surprised that a secret existed, only surprised that it had survived long enough to enter the room. Sun followed Jury's gaze toward Seo-ah, and in that single moment, the shape of betrayal began to change. Because suddenly, this was no longer only about the past. It was also about the people standing around him now. No one spoke for a long second. Then the room exploded. Whispers rushed from table to table like fire through dry grass. Reporters pushed forward. Camera flashes burst across the hall. Men who had come to discuss stocks and power now leaned in for scandal. But Chung Sun did not look at any of them. His eyes stayed on Yoon Seo-ah. She stood tall in her silver dress, but one hand had tightened around her glass so hard her knuckles had turned white. Her face was calm enough for strangers. Not for him. He had spent years reading fear in boardrooms, This was fear. Answer me, Seo-ah said, trying to recover. Who are they? Juri gave a cold, humorless smile. Children you were never meant to see. The crowd gasped again. The twins stayed close to their mother, but they were watching everything. Hae-min looked from Seo-ah to Yui-sun. Hae-jun looked at the men in dark suits near the stage, counting exits the way Juri had taught him. Yui-sun stepped down from the platform. Each step sounded loud in the silent hall. He stopped in front of the boys. Up close, the truth was even worse. Same eyes, same mouth, same stubborn stillness. Who told you to come here? He asked. No one, Hae-min answered. We wanted to know why you never came. The words hit harder than any public shame. Juri's face did not move, but her fingers brushed the boy's shoulders in quiet comfort. Yui-sun looked at her. You should have come to me. Her eyes flashed. To which version of you? The man I loved, or the one who let us disappear? That landed too. Around them, the rich and powerful stood frozen. Then, Tutor from the side entrance, Yui-sun's chief of security, rushed in and bent to whisper in his ear. The billionaire's face changed at once, not with shame, with danger. There's been a breach, the guard said, and someone in this room had not come to gossip. They had come to silence the truth. The first light burst above the stage with a loud pop. People screamed. Then another chandelier flickered, and the entire grand hall went dark. For one breathless second, there was only blackness, breaking glass, and terrified voices. Chairs scraped across the floor. Someone shouted for security. Someone else cried out near the buffet tables. Juri dropped at once and pulled the boys down with her. Stay low, she whispered. The twins obeyed without panic. They had practiced this, not for a gala but for danger. In the dark, Hae-jun's small hand found Hae-min's wrist and held tight. Juri turned her body over both of them, shielding them from the crowd. Then a flashlight beam cut through the dark. Another and another. Yui-sun's voice rose above the panic like a blade. Nobody leaves. The emergency backup lights came on, dim and red, washing the ballroom in the color of warning. The polished hall now looked haunted. Expensive faces looked pale and ugly under the low glow. Yui-sun was no longer standing where he had been. He had moved. In one fast, hard motion, he reached Juri and the boys before the crowd fully understood what was happening. His bodyguards formed a circle around them at once. Juri looked up at him, stunned. Why are you protecting us now? He did not answer right away. His eyes moved across the room, cold and sharp. Well, because whoever cut the lights, he said quietly, did not come for me. Juri felt ice crawl through her chest. The boys looked up too. One of the side doors was half open. A waiter lay on the floor beside it, unconscious. This was no accident, not a power failure, a move, a warning, or worse. Seo-ah stepped backward, her face tight. This is insane. End the event now. But Yui-sun was not listening to her anymore. He was watching the room like a man who had finally seen the shape of a trap. And for the first time that night, Juri realized something even more dangerous than scandal. He believed her. Yui-sun led them through a private corridor behind the ballroom. 2 guards stayed ahead. 2 stayed behind. Their shoes hit the marble floor in steady beats. The sounds of panic from the gala faded as thick doors shut behind them. The corridor was cold and lined with old paintings. Juri had never seen this part of the hotel. It felt quiet in a bad way, like secrets had lived there longer than people had. The twins walked between her and Yui-sun. No one spoke for several steps. Then Hae-min looked up at him and asked, "Did you really think we were dead?" The question was simple. It cut deep. Yui-sun did not slow down. but his face changed. Yes, he said at last. Hae-jun frowned. Both of us? Yui-sun stopped. That small word hit him like a crack in stone. He turned to Juri. I was told there was one child. Her laugh was soft and bitter. Of course you were. He stared at her. Who told you to run? Juri held his gaze. A nurse I had never seen before came to me after the birth. She said men were already asking questions. She said if I wanted my baby to live, I had to disappear before sunrise. Baby? Yue-sun asked sharply. Juri nodded once. I had not even seen the second one yet. That stopped him cold. Yue-sun reached inside his jacket with slow fingers and pulled out an old leather card holder. From a hidden fold, he removed a tiny, faded photo. Juri's breath caught. It was a hospital image. Blurry, cropped, easy to miss. A newborn in a blanket. Just one. I kept this, he said. They told me it was all that remained. Juri stared at the photo, then at him. For the first time in years, she saw something raw in his face. Not power, not anger, grief. Before either of them could speak again, one of the guards pressed a hand to his earpiece and went tense. Sir, he said, we have a second problem. Yue-sun turned. What now? The guard swallowed. Someone just entered your private office upstairs. They moved fast. A private elevator took them to the top executive floor of the hotel, where only a handful of rooms existed. The mirrored walls reflected 5 tense faces: a billionaire, a woman from his buried past, 2 boys who looked like him, and danger closing in around all of them. Juri felt the air change as the elevator doors opened. This floor was too quiet, too still. Yue-sun raised one hand, and the guards spread out. One checked the hallway corner. Another stood by the elevator. The last 2 closed around Juri and the twins. His office door was open, just slightly. A thin line of warm light slipped into the hallway. Yue-sun's mouth became a hard line. He stepped forward first. The office was large, dark wood and glass, with a full view of the Seoul skyline. It should have felt calm, rich, untouchable. Instead, it looked violated. Drawers had been pulled open. Papers covered the floor. A locked cabinet stood wide open. One framed photo had been smashed. His desk computer screen was black. Whoever came here knew what they wanted, one guard muttered. Juri moved closer to the twins, her pulse racing. Hae-jun pointed to the far side of the office. There. On the carpet near the desk lay a silver cufflink. Yue-sun bent and picked it up. His eyes went cold. Juri noticed the small symbol engraved on it, a falcon. She had seen that mark once before, years ago, on a ring worn by the man who had come to her hospital room, pretending to offer help. She looked up sharply. I know that symbol. Yue-sun turned to her. From where? From the night I disappeared. The room went still. The boys looked from one adult to the other. Yue-sun closed his fist around the cufflink. Then tonight is bigger than I thought. He crossed to the open cabinet. Inside, one file slot was empty. Just one. He stared at the gap for half a second too long. Juri saw it. What was there? He did not answer at once. When he finally spoke, his voice was lower than before. A file on the people who handled your case. Then he looked at her. And one name in it should have been impossible. The skyline outside the office windows glittered against the night, but inside the room, the air had turned heavy. Yue-sun walked to his desk and pressed a hidden button under the wood. A second compartment opened beside the main drawer. From it, he pulled a slim black folder. Not the missing file, a backup. He flipped it open with careful hands. Juri watched his face as he scanned the first page. The color drained from it. What? She asked. He did not speak. He turned the folder and showed her one paper clipped inside. A death report. a man listed as dead 6 years ago. Jury stared at the name, Min Jae-kook. Her knees almost gave way. Hae Min frowned. Mom? She could not answer right away. Jae-kook, the man with the falcon ring, the man who had smiled too kindly in the hospital room, the man who had arranged the car that took her out of Seoul before sunrise, the man she later heard had died in a fire. But if his name was in Yui-sun's file, and someone had come tonight to steal that file, then he had never really disappeared. He's alive, Jury whispered. Yui-sun looked at her sharply. You know him. I knew the lie he wore, she said. He told me he was helping me save my child. Child, Yui-sun said again, catching the old detail. You keep saying one child. Jury's eyes filled with anger now, not tears. Because they did not let me see both babies that night. I only learned the truth hours later, when an older nurse found me in the car and told me there were twins. She was crying. She said one had been marked for transfer. The room froze. Transfer? Yui-sun repeated. Jury nodded. She helped me steal him back before dawn. Now even the guards looked shaken. Hae-jun slowly reached for his brother's hand. Yui-sun closed the folder. His jaw flexed once. So someone lied to me, he said. Someone hunted her. Someone tried to separate my sons at birth. He lifted his eyes to Jury, and the man behind it was supposed to be dead. Then a phone on his desk lit up by itself. Unknown number. The screen flashed once. A message appeared. You should have let the boys stay buried. The phone screen stayed lit. No name. No number. Just one line. You should have let the boys stay buried. No one moved. The twins stared at the screen. Jury's breath became shallow. The guards shifted, alert now in a new way. Yui-sun picked up the phone slowly. His face did not show fear, but his silence did. Track it, he said calmly. One of the guards stepped forward at once, pulling out a device. His fingers moved fast, but within seconds, he shook his head. Blocked route, masked signal. Whoever sent it knew exactly how to hide. Yui-sun's grip tightened around the phone. They always do, he said quietly. Jury looked at him. You knew this would happen. He met her eyes. No, a pause. But I should have. That answer was more dangerous than a lie. Hae Min stepped forward. Is someone trying to hurt us? The room went still again. Yui-sun looked down at him. For a moment, the billionaire disappeared. Only a man remained. Yes, he said. Jury's heart dropped. But not while I'm alive. That promise landed heavy. Then the phone vibrated again. Another message. This time shorter. One of them was never meant to be yours. Jury froze. Yui-sun's eyes darkened. And the twins looked at each other. One of them? Hae-jun's voice was small now. Not afraid. Confused. Jury stepped forward fast. Ignore it. But the damage was done. Children hear everything, and they remember. Yui-sun looked at both boys again. Same face, same features, same blood. But now, doubt had entered the room, and doubt was poison. Whoever is behind this, Jury said sharply, is trying to break us before they attack. Yui-sun nodded slowly. That means they are close. The guards reacted at once, scanning the room again, checking corners, doors, windows. Jury pulled both boys closer. You are both mine, she said firmly, and you are both his. Her voice did not shake this time, because now she understood something clearly. This was no longer about truth. It was about control. Whoever was behind this didn't just want to hide the past. They wanted to rewrite it. Yui-sun turned to one of his men. Lock down the building. No one leaves without my order. Yes, sir. As the guard moved, the office lights flickered once. Just once. But it was enough. Because the last time that happened, The Gala went dark. Min looked up slowly. Someone is here. The hallway outside the office was no longer empty. Footsteps, slow, measured, not running, not hiding, coming closer. One of the guards raised his weapon. Another stepped in front of Jury and the boys. Yui Sun did not move. "Open the door," he said. The guard hesitated. "Sir." "Open it." The door creaked as it swung wider. The hallway lights flickered again, then stabilized, and a man stepped into view. Tall, calm, dressed in a simple black suit. No panic, no rush, like he belonged there. Jury's breath stopped. Her body reacted before her mind could. She stepped back. "No," she whispered. The man smiled. Not warmly, not kindly, just enough. "Jury," he said. Her knees almost gave out. "Min, Jae-kook." The room froze. The dead man stood in front of them, alive, unharmed, untouched by time. His eyes moved past Jury and landed on the twins. Something cold flickered behind his smile. "Well," he said softly, "this is disappointing." Yui-sun stepped forward, slow, controlled, deadly. "You should be dead," he said. Jae-kook tilted his head slightly. That was the idea. The guards tightened their hold on the room, weapons ready. But Jae-kook did not react, because he knew something they didn't. "I wouldn't do that," he said calmly. "Not in front of the children." Hae-jun gripped his brother's hand tighter. Min did not look away. He was watching, learning. Jury's voice came out sharp. "Why?" One word, years of pain behind it. Jae-kook looked at her, and for a brief second, his smile faded. "You were never the target," he said. Then he turned to Yui-sun. "You were." The room shifted. Even the guards seemed to hesitate. Yui-sun's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Jae-kook took one step forward. 7 years ago, you were untouchable, too powerful, too clean, so we needed something personal. Jury's chest tightened. "The children," she said. "Yes," Jae-kook replied simply. Min frowned. "Why us?" Jae-kook looked at him, really looked, and something darker entered his eyes. "Because blood is the only thing that can break a man like him." The air in the room became heavy. Too heavy. Yui-sun's voice dropped lower. "Who is we?" Jae-kook smiled again, but this time, it was sharper. "You already know." Yui-sun did not answer, because in that moment, he did. Slowly, his head turned, toward the door behind them. Jury followed his gaze, so did the twins. The door moved, just slightly, then fully opened. Yoon Seo-ah stepped inside. Her face was calm now. Too calm. No fear, no shock, only control. The room went silent, again. "You took your time," Jae-kook said lightly. Seo-ah walked forward, her heels clicking softly on the floor. "I had to make sure everything was in place," she replied. Jury felt her stomach drop. Yui-sun's voice was cold. "You?" Seo-ah met his eyes. "No," she said quietly. "Not just me." She looked at the twins, then back at him. "You were never meant to have both." Silence. Then, the final blow. "One of them," she said slowly, "was supposed to be mine." Silence did not just fill the room, it crushed it. Jury stared at Yoon Seo-ah like she had stopped understanding the world. "What do you mean? Yours?" she asked slowly. Seo-ah did not rush. She walked closer, her eyes fixed on the twins. 7 years ago, she said calmly, your life was already over. You just didn't know it yet. Jury's hands tightened around the boys. Yui-sun stepped forward. "Speak clearly." Seo-ah looked at him, and for the first time, there was something sharp behind her calm. "You were too powerful, too careful, no weakness, no mistake." Her eyes flicked to the twins. "So we created one." Min frowned. We're not a mistake. Seo-ah's lips curved slightly. No, you are leverage. The word hit hard. Chajuri shook her head. You wanted to kill them. No, Seo-ah said softly. I wanted one. The room froze again. Hye-jun looked confused. Why one? Seo-ah crouched slightly, lowering herself to their level. Because one child can be controlled, she said. Two is chaos. Juri pulled them back instantly. Don't come near them. Seo-ah stood up again, unbothered. The plan was simple, she continued. One child stays, one disappears. He mourns, becomes weaker, easier to guide. Yui-sun's voice turned deadly quiet. Guide? To marriage, to alliance, to control, she said, meeting his eyes. And you were very close to saying yes tonight. That truth landed like a blade, because it was real. Yui-sun's mind moved fast now. Every piece, every lie, every missing detail. Kak, you said one was marked for transfer, he said to Juri. She nodded slowly. Yes. The nurse told me. She said they were taking one of the babies to a private unit. Jae-kook stepped in calmly. That was my part. Juri's eyes burned. You lied to me. I saved one of them, he replied. No, she snapped. You tried to steal him. Hye-min looked between them. Which one? No one answered immediately. That was worse. Yui-sun's voice cut through. Which child was taken? Juri swallowed hard. I didn't know, she said. I only knew I had to take the one they left with me and run. Hye-jun's grip tightened on his brother's hand. So, one of us was supposed to be gone? Yes, Seo-ah answered. And this time, her eyes did not leave them. You were never meant to grow up together. The weight of that truth settled deep. Fa Hye-min looked at Hye-jun. For the first time since the night began, fear showed. Not fear of danger, fear of being separated. Yui-sun saw it, and something inside him snapped into place. You will never touch them again, he said. Seo-ah smiled slightly. You already lost one once. The tension changed. No longer confusion. Now, war. Yui-sun stepped forward slowly. You made one mistake, he said. Seo-ah raised a brow. Only one? You assumed I would stay blind. His voice was calm, too calm. Then he turned to one of his guards. Bring the kit. The guard nodded and moved quickly. Juri frowned. What are you doing? Yui-sun looked at the twins. Ending this. Minutes later, the guard returned with a small black case. Inside, a portable DNA test kit. The room went still again. Hye-jun stepped back slightly. What is that? Juri's heart dropped. You don't need that. Yes, Yui-sun said firmly. I do. Because now, the message made sense. One of them was never meant to be yours. Seo-ah folded her arms. Finally, she said softly, let's see the truth. Hye-min stepped forward before anyone could stop him. If it proves we're yours, then what? Yui-sun looked at him, and for the first time, his voice softened. Then no one will ever question it again. The test began. Silence returned. Heavy, painful. Every second stretched. Every breath mattered, and Seo-ah was smiling. The machine beeped. Once, twice, then it stopped. The guard looked at the screen. His face changed. Juri's heart pounded. What does it say? The guard hesitated. Yui-sun's voice cut sharp. I read it. The guard swallowed. First child. He looked at Hye-min. 99.99% match. Relief hit Juri like air after drowning. Hye-min didn't smile. He just stood still, waiting. The guard looked back at the screen. Second child. The room held its breath. 99.99% match. Silence. Then, shock. Juri blinked. What? Yui-sun stepped forward. Show me. He looked at the screen himself. Both results. Clear. Perfect. No doubt. He turned slowly. Seoa's smile had disappeared. For the first time, she looked shaken. That's not possible, she said. Jae-kook frowned. It should have worked. Yui-sun's voice dropped low. You planned everything. He stepped closer. Except the truth. Seoa took a step back. For the first time that night, she was no longer in control. That's impossible, she repeated. One of them was supposed to be altered. The word hit the room like a shockwave. Juri's face went pale. Altered. Jae-kook's silence confirmed it. Yui-sun's eyes darkened. You tried to change their blood? Seoa's composure cracked. It was necessary, she snapped. One child loyal to you, one loyal to us. A perfect balance. Hae-jun stepped back, shaking his head. We're not yours. Hae-min moved in front of him slightly. Protective. Instinct. Natural. Yui-sun saw it, and something shifted deeply inside him. This was not business, not strategy, not power. This was his family. Get them out, he ordered his guards quietly. Juri looked at him. What about you? His eyes never left Seoa. I'll finish this. The guards moved fast, surrounding Juri and the twins. And as they reached the door, the phone on the desk buzzed again. One last message. Yui-sun glanced at it, then his jaw tightened. Juri turned back. What is it? He didn't answer immediately. Then, quietly, they're not done. The message read, Phase 2 begins now. The hallway felt longer than before. Juri walked fast, her hands tight on both boys. The guards moved around them like a wall. Every step echoed. Every corner felt like a trap. Hae-min stayed calm. Hae-jun kept looking back. Don't look, Juri whispered, but he did anyway. Mom, what if they follow us? They will, she said. That truth came too easily. The elevator doors opened. The guards scanned first, then signaled. Clear. They stepped inside. The doors closed. For a second, there was silence. Then, the lights flickered. Again. Hae-min looked up slowly. They're already here. The elevator jerked, stopped. Juri's breath caught. No! One of the guards hit the emergency panel. Nothing. Another tried his radio. Dead. Then, a voice came through the speaker. Calm. Familiar. Running already? Juri froze. Jae-kook. You shouldn't have left the room, he continued softly. It makes things messy. Hae-jun pressed into his mother. I don't like him. Juri didn't answer, because the elevator suddenly dropped. Not far, but enough to make everyone lose balance. A scream broke from somewhere above. Then it stopped. The lights went out, and in the darkness, something hit the elevator roof. Metal groaned above them. One of the guards raised his weapon toward the ceiling. Stay back! A loud bang followed. Then another. We'd like something, or someone, was trying to break in. Hae-min didn't panic. He grabbed his brother's hand. Stay behind me. Hae-jun frowned. Why you? Because I'm older by 3 minutes. Even now, he kept his voice steady. Juri's chest tightened. They were just children. But they were acting like they had been ready for this all their lives. The metal above cracked. Light cut through a small opening, then a hand. Black glove. Reaching in. One of the guards fired. The shot echoed inside the elevator. The hand disappeared, but the attack didn't stop. More hits. Stronger. Faster. They're trying to force entry, the guard said. Juri pulled both boys close. No. No. Hae-min looked up at her. Mom. His voice was calm. Too calm. If they take one of us. Juri shook her head fast. Want no. You take June, he said. No. Haejun grabbed him. We don't split! The elevator shook again, and in that moment, Yui-sun's voice came through the broken speaker. Hold on. Back in the office, Chung Eui-sun didn't hesitate. He was already moving. His phone was in his hand, issuing orders faster than anyone could follow. Lock all elevator systems. Override manual access. Seal every exit. His voice was not loud, but it was absolute. Across the building, systems began to shift. Security doors dropped, cameras turned, hidden protocols activated. This was not a businessman anymore. This was a man reclaiming control. Seoa watched him carefully. You think you can stop this? He didn't look at her. No, he said. I'm ending it. Jae-kook smiled slightly. You're late. Yui-sun's eyes lifted. Cold. You made one mistake, he said. Jae-kook tilted his head. Another one? You came into my building. The words landed heavy. Then, the lights stabilized, systems returned, and somewhere in the building, the elevator locked into place. Inside the elevator, everything stopped. The banging above ended. Silence returned. The emergency lights flickered back on. One of the guards moved slowly toward the control panel. It's unlocked. Before he could finish, the elevator doors slid open, but not to a normal floor, to a service level. Dark, empty, wrong. Stay inside, the lead guard ordered. Too late. A figure moved across the hallway, fast, then another. Juri's heart pounded. They're waiting, she whispered. Haejun shook his head. No, they're watching. Haemin stepped forward slightly. They want us to come out. The guards raised their weapons. Then, a voice echoed down the hallway. Not Jae-kook this time. Someone else. You can't protect them forever. Juri froze. She knew that voice. Not clearly, but enough to feel it. Yui-sun's voice came through the guard's earpiece. Don't engage. Hold position. I'm coming. Haemin looked at the hallway again, then at his mother. They're not after both of us, he said quietly. Juri's stomach dropped. Don't say that. But deep down, she knew. Back upstairs, Yui-sun reached the service floor entrance. Guards lined the hallway, weapons ready. Clear path, he ordered. They moved, fast. As he stepped forward, his phone vibrated again. One last message. You can only save one. He stopped, just for a second, then kept walking. Inside the elevator, Juri held both boys tight. No one is taking you, she whispered. Haemin looked at her, then at his brother, then back at her. Mom, his voice was soft now. If something happens, no. You always said truth matters. Her chest broke. Yes. Then the truth is, he swallowed. I won't let them take him. Haejun grabbed him. We stay together. The hallway lights flickered again. Footsteps, closer, faster. The guards tightened formation, and then Yui-sun appeared at the end of the corridor, walking toward them. Alone, no hesitation, no fear, only one decision in his eyes. War. The lights went out again. And this time, a hand grabbed one of the boys. The lights went out, and the scream came with it. Haemin! Juri's voice tore through the darkness. Hands moved. Bodies collided. A guard fired blindly. Another shouted. The echo filled the tight corridor like thunder. Then, the lights snapped back. Too late. Haejun stood frozen. His hand was empty. Haemin was gone. No, no. Juri's knees almost gave way. She grabbed Haejun, pulling him close, her eyes searching wildly. Where is he? Where is he? The guards spread instantly, weapons raised, scanning every corner. Yui-sun stepped forward, his face colder than anything she had ever seen. What happened? he demanded. They moved in the blackout, one guard said. Fast, clean, professional. Hae-jun's voice shook. They pulled him. Juri turned to Ui-sun, her face breaking. You said you would protect them. His jaw tightened. I will. Then bring him back. Her voice cracked. Something inside him shifted. Not anger, not power. Something deeper. Something final. Ui-sun pulled out his phone. This ends now. Hae-min did not scream. Even when they dragged him through dark corridors, even when the air changed, even when he realized he was alone. The man holding him was strong, silent, professional. But Hae-min noticed things. The smell of smoke on his jacket, the small scar on his wrist, the way he kept checking corners. He was not random. He was trained. Where are you taking me? Hae-min asked. No answer. Is it because of him? He asked again. Still nothing. Hae-min looked ahead, calm, thinking. You picked me on purpose, he said. That made the man pause for half a second. Enough. Hae-min saw it. You think I'm the one that matters? He continued. The man tightened his grip. Wrong move. Because now, Hae-min knew something important. This was not random. This was a plan. And he was part of it. Back upstairs, the office had transformed. Screens lit up across the walls, camera feeds, heat maps, movement tracking. Every corner of the building was now visible. Ui-sun stood in the center, not as a guest, not as a businessman, as a man preparing for war. Lock every exit, he said. Already done. Find him. We're tracking heat signatures. Juri stood behind him, holding Hae-jun. Her hands shook, but her eyes were focused. Why him? She asked. Ui-sun didn't answer immediately. Then, they said one was meant to be altered, he said slowly. Her heart dropped. You think? I think they chose the one they couldn't control. Hae-jun looked up. That's Min. Juri closed her eyes. Of course it was. He was the stronger one, the calmer one, the one who didn't bend, the one who would fight. Ui-sun turned to the screens. Where is he? One of the operators spoke fast. Lower service levels, moving toward the underground access. Ui-sun's eyes darkened. They're trying to leave the building. He picked up his coat. No, he said. They're trying to take him somewhere worse. In a dark underground room, Hae-min was finally dropped to the ground. He landed hard, but he didn't cry. The man stepped back, and for the first time, another figure stepped forward. Not Jae-kook, not Seo-ah, someone else. Older, calm, watching. You're quiet, the man said. Hae-min looked up. Because I'm listening. The man smiled slightly. Good. He crouched in front of him. You're special. But you know that? Hae-min didn't answer. Your brother is strong, the man continued. But you, he tilted his head. You think like him. That made Hae-min speak. Like who? The man's smile grew. Like your father. Silence. Then, the truth dropped. You were never meant to grow up free, the man said. You were meant to become something. Hae-min's eyes didn't move. What? The man leaned closer. Control. Ui-sun reached the underground level. The air was colder, darker. The guards moved ahead, clearing the path. Juri stayed close behind, holding Hae-jun tightly. Every step felt heavier. Every second mattered. Then, a door, half open, light inside. Ui-sun didn't wait. He kicked it open. The room froze. Hae-min sat on the ground, alive, still, watching. The unknown man stood behind him, calm, unshaken. Right on time, the man said. Ui-sun stepped forward slowly. Let him go. The man smiled. You came faster than expected. Let him go. This time, it wasn't a request. The man looked at Hai Min, then back at Uisun. You don't understand yet, he said. This was never about taking your son. Silence. Then, the final truth. It was about choosing him. Juri's heart stopped. Uisun's voice dropped to something dangerous. What does that mean? The man's eyes locked onto his. It means a pause, a breath. He is not just your son. The room held still. Then, he is your replacement. Everything changed. Uisun didn't think, didn't wait, didn't calculate. He moved, fast, crossing the line between control and war. Uisun moved first, fast. No warning, no hesitation. A single shot echoed through the underground room. The man behind Hai Min jerked backward, his shoulder snapping from the impact. He didn't fall, but he lost control. That was enough. Hai Min rolled away instantly, smart, fast, alive. Move! One of the guards shouted. They rushed forward. Chaos exploded. Gunfire cracked through the tight space. The smell of smoke filled the air. The lights flickered again as alarms began to scream through the building. Juri dropped low, pulling Haijun down with her. Stay with me. Haijun nodded, his face pale but steady. Uisun reached Hai Min in seconds and pulled him behind him, shielding him fully. Are you hurt? He asked sharply. Hai Min shook his head. No. The man who had been shot laughed. Low, unstable. You still move like that, he said, gripping his bleeding shoulder. Uisun didn't respond. His focus was locked, finished. The guards pushed forward, forcing the attackers back toward the rear exit, but the man raised one hand. Stop. And strangely, his men did, because control was not gone. Not yet. The room settled, not calm, but controlled. The man stepped forward again, blood soaking his sleeve, but his eyes still clear. Let's stop pretending, he said. Juri moved closer to the boys. Uisun stood between them and everything else. Who are you? He demanded. The man smiled, slowly. You really don't recognize me? Silence. Then, he said the name himself. Kang Dae-hyun. Juri froze. Uisun's eyes sharpened. That name was not just known, it was buried. Impossible, Uisun said. You disappeared years ago. Kang Dae-hyun gave a quiet laugh. Disappeared? He repeated. No. I stepped back. The room held still. 7 years ago, Kang continued, you took everything. Power, control, territory, influence. His eyes darkened. And I learned something important. Uisun didn't move. Kang stepped closer. You can't destroy a man like you from the outside. A pause. Then, you destroy him from the inside. Juri felt cold, because now everything made sense. Kang looked at Hai Min again, carefully, like he was studying something valuable. You were supposed to grow under my control, he said softly. Hai Min didn't react, didn't step back. Why? He asked. Kang smiled slightly. Because you're not just his son. He pointed at Uisun. You are his weakness. Silence. Heavy. Uisun's voice dropped. You built all of this for a child? Kang shook his head slowly. No. I built it for time. He turned slightly, pacing once. One child raised by him, a glance at Haijun. One child raised by us, back to Hai Min. Different thinking, different loyalty, same blood. Juri's stomach turned. You wanted them to fight each other. Kang stopped and smiled. Exactly. Haijun grabbed his brother's arm. We would never. You say that now, Kang cut in. But blood is not what divides people. He leaned in slightly. Belief is. The room fell silent again, because that was true. Kang stepped closer to Hai Min, ignoring the guns, ignoring the guards, because he believed something. "You can still come with me," he said. Jury moved instantly. "I don't you dare!" But Heyman lifted his hand slightly. Not to accept, to pause. Everyone stopped, even Ui's son. The boy looked at Kang, calm, thinking. "You think I'll become like you?" Heyman asked. Kang didn't hesitate. "I know you can." A pause. Then Heyman shook his head. "No." Kang's smile faded slightly. Heyman took one step back, toward Juri, toward Haijun, toward Yui Sun. "You're wrong," he said simply. "I already chose." Silence. Heavy. Final. Kang stared at him for a long moment. Then he laughed. Not angry, not loud, just accepting. "Good," he said quietly. "Then this ends the right way." Yui Zun's eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" Kang stepped back, toward the shadows. "It means—" A pause. "You finally understand what it means to lose control." The alarms were louder now, so security forces filled the halls above. Time was running out. Kang raised his hand slightly. His men moved back, retreating, not defeated, just finished. "This isn't over," he said calmly. "It was never meant to be." Yue Sun stepped forward. "You're not walking away." Kang stopped, turned slightly. "You already won tonight," he said. "You kept both sons." His eyes moved across them one last time. Juri, Hei Min, Hei Jun, then back to Ui Sun. "But now you have something you never had before." A pause, a final truth. "Something you can lose." Silence. Then he disappeared into the shadows. Gone, just like that. The room stood still. No one moved, no one spoke, because the war wasn't over. It had just changed. Yui Sun slowly turned to the twins. For the first time, not as a man looking at a mystery, but as a father. Haijun stepped closer. Hei Min didn't move, just watched. Juri stood between them, breathing, alive. Yui Sun's voice came low. "We go home." Not an order, a decision, and for the first time in 7 years, the truth was no longer hidden. But the danger was just beginning. Some secrets don't die. They wait, they grow, and when they return, they don't just destroy the past, they build a war for the future. Now tell me, if you were Yui Sun, would you protect them at all cost? Or destroy everything before someone else does? Drop your answer below.